So this review is for a movie that I just saw in theaters last night called Percy and Goliath. This movie stars Christopher Walken and it's based on a true story. It's about a legal drama with this farmer he's a Canadian farmer, and they have a legal dispute over like seeds and stuff, what percentage of it belongs to them and stuff like that. I'm just going to be frank. This was not a very interesting movie. This is one of those true story movies where you can tell that the story they probably had wasn't that interesting to tell, but they just wanted to adapt it anyways because, frankly, that's everything has to be a true story movie. A lot of true story movies do really well. There's a huge demographic for them. I don't even think people realize how big of a demographic for it, but this movie's kind of just a smaller movie. It's not a big heavy hitter. It's kind of just this boring movie. It's not boring because the movie did anything wrong. It's boring because the true story of this farmer and this legal battle is not interesting. They're fighting over seeds. Like, I don't really get engaged in that. It's not that interesting of a story, and I think it was a little bit too long. It was about 2 hours. If you wanted to adapt this movie, there was a way that you could just made this an hour and a half and would have been a lot better. I feel like the extra 30 minutes the movie went on too long, and a lot of the scenes felt the same, and they just weren't very well differentiated from scene to scene. Like, I felt like I was watching the same scene a couple times during the movie, and I'm like, eh. Christopher Walken is decent in the movie. This is by no means one of his best performances. I mean, after all, this is an Academy Award winning actor, or at least did he win an Academy Award, or was he just nominated? Probably was just nominated. You can correct me down in the comments down below. But this is by no means his best performance. One of his best. It's not his weakest, but it's like he did a decent job. But there really isn't too much range to anybody's performance in this movie because the story here, again, is just like, this does not need to be a movie. It might be an interesting story to read a book about or something like that, but it did not need to be a movie. And I would say, if you watched this review and heard me break down the premise of this movie, this legal drama, or you saw the trailer and it sounds interesting to you, then you will probably like this movie. But I think for the majority of people, they will be pretty bored throughout this movie because this movie is not that interesting of a film. It's adapting a true story that doesn't really have much weight or interest to be adapted into a movie, even with, Hollywood changes and things like that.